Leonard Peltier, a citizen of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe, has been a prominent figure in the fight for indigenous rights in the United States. Born in 1944, Peltier's early life reflected the struggles faced by many Native Americans during that era. He became involved with the American Indian Movement, or AIM, in the late 1960s. This organization, founded in 1968, aimed to address issues of poverty, discrimination, and treaty rights that deeply affected indigenous communities. Peltier's activism brought him to the forefront of the movement during a tumultuous period in U.S. history. The occupation of Wounded Knee in 1973, a 71-day standoff between AIM activists and federal agents, highlighted the growing tensions between indigenous communities and the government. Peltier's dedication to his people and his unwavering pursuit of justice led him to the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, the site of the next significant event in his life. The Pine Ridge Reservation became a focal point of conflict in the 1970s. Internal disputes, fueled by political factions and government interference, created a volatile atmosphere. On June 26, 1975, a shootout erupted at the Jumping Bull Ranch, resulting in the deaths of two FBI agents, Jack Kohler and Ronald Williams, and an indigenous man, Joe Stuntz. Peltier, present at the ranch that day, was soon identified as a suspect in the agents' deaths. Peltier fled to Canada while his co-defendants, Robert Robideau and Darrell Butler, faced trial in the United States. They were acquitted on grounds of self-defense, their lawyers arguing they acted to protect themselves from a hostile government force. Extradited in 1976, Peltier stood trial alone. Despite the lack of eyewitnesses placing him at the agent's vehicle and the acquittal of his co-defendants, Peltier was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder in 1977. Peltier's conviction sparked outrage among his supporters. They argued that the trial was riddled with inconsistencies, including withheld evidence and coerced testimonies. The prosecution's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence and the political climate of the time, which often demonized AIM and its members. Peltier's legal team challenged the verdict repeatedly, but their appeals were denied. Throughout his decades of imprisonment, Peltier became an international symbol of indigenous resistance and the perceived injustices faced by Native Americans. His case attracted the attention of human rights groups, celebrities, and political figures worldwide. Prominent figures like Nelson Mandela, Pope Francis, and the Dalai Lama called for his release. Despite growing support for his cause, Peltier remained incarcerated, his sentence commuted to life in prison, but his freedom elusive. On January 20, 2025, in a move hailed by activists and met with resistance from law enforcement, President Joe Biden commuted Leonard Peltier's sentence. Citing Peltier's deteriorating health and his status as an elder in his community, Biden's decision aimed to address the humanitarian concerns surrounding Peltier's prolonged imprisonment. The commutation, while not a pardon, allowed Peltier to return home to serve the remainder of his sentence under house arrest. The reactions to Peltier's release were predictably divided. Indigenous communities and activists celebrated the news, viewing it as a long overdue act of justice. They saw it as a step toward healing the wounds of the past and acknowledging the injustices endured by Native Americans. Law enforcement organizations and the families of the slain agents expressed disappointment and anger, maintaining that Peltier was guilty and his release dishonored the memory of those who died. The commutation of Peltier's sentence stands as a significant moment in the complex relationship between the U.S. government and indigenous communities. It has reopened old wounds and sparked debate about historical injustices, legal processes, and the path toward reconciliation. Whether this decision marks a turning point in U.S. indigenous relations or simply another chapter in a long and troubled history remains to be seen.